Hello, my name is Hilda Hidalgo, and this is my colleague Norma Espinosa. Today, we are presenting the results of a research project that we conducted at Universidad del Estado de Hidalgo. And the title is Students' Perceptions about the Learning and Teaching English Process at a Mexican University. As you know, and as a result of globalization, English was introduced into education in our country in the late 60s. And in our university, it was introduced in 1992. And it has become a requirement for students to graduate, and they must reach the B1 level. However, the results have not been the ones that were expected, and that's why this study was conducted. So this is part of a larger research study that aims to analyze the actors, tutors, students, administrators, and the factors such as the English language program and resources involved in the teaching of English at our university. But as the title suggests, we are presenting today just students' perceptions about the teaching and learning process of English. As I mentioned before, English has been an issue in our country because the results have not been the expected ones. And it seems like the Secretaría de Educación Pública has acknowledged this. Davis cites them and says that Mexican public ELT is clearly a general failure, affecting most of those Mexicans who cannot afford good private education and are not lucky enough to attend one of the best state schools or to be taught by some of the best English teachers. He also suggests that students leave school and enter university with very little English, despite of having been taken English for at least 6 years, 3 of secondary and 3 of high school. Similarly, Moore conducted a study in 2017, and she suggests that those who have access to private schools achieve better results than those who attend public schools. So the question is why? Why is this happening in our country? And she also acknowledges that the number of hours of exposure to the language does matter. And these results, of course, are relevant to this study, as we will explain later on. We conducted this study, as I said, to identify the perceptions of the different actors involved and some factors. And we understand perceptions as suggested by Gonzalo, Ladino, and Escobar, and Adedibura and Tayo, who suggest that perceptions are a set of opinions that combine experience and knowledge about something, and they are often expressed in terms of judgments. Previous studies have addressed this issue, of course, and they have adopted different perspectives. For example, Sanchez, Obanda, and Ibarra in 2017 investigated the views of undergraduate students regarding English as a foreign language course that they must take as a requirement for graduation at a public university in Colombia. If you see the context is similar, or the situation is similar to our country. They administer a questionnaire to 130 undergraduate students from 10 different BA programs. And the results show that the students are satisfied with the teacher's performance, but they are not satisfied with the facilities and resources for teaching. Similarly, Rama and Setillana in 2019 investigated the students' perceptions about the effectiveness of teaching at an Indonesian university. They also administered a questionnaire to 119 students from 6 different undergraduate programs, but they also conducted interviews. And that in these interviews covered topics such as the materials students use or teachers use to teach the class, the learning method, motivation, and classroom management. So even though they report positive perceptions about the teaching of English, similar to the previous study. Most students were dissatisfied with the teaching materials or the teaching method because they claimed that they didn't motivate them to learn the language. So what's the contribution of this study that we conducted? As we highlighted, these studies have focused on one or two aspects of the teaching and learning process. However, in this study, we suggest to focus or to address 5 different aspects to provide a richer discussion of perceptions about the learning process and the teaching of English, and to involve all the actors. That's why, as I mentioned, we focus on students, teachers, and administrators. So these 5 different factors or aspects that we decided to include has to do with the role of English in a student's professional lives, the resources that they may use to learn in the teaching, the learning and assessment. The methodology we adopted this is a quantitative study because we also decided to design a questionnaire that I'm going to provide more details of later on. And our participants are 296 students, 188 female and 108 male students from 28 BA programs throughout all our university. And they were enrolled at the time of this study, when this study took place, between 5th semester and 10th semester. That was the criteria we set because we wanted students who had already taken English for some time and who probably had a better idea of what's going on with English in our university. For the data analysis, we conducted mainly basic descriptive statistics for most of the for all the closed-ended questions. We identified the mean and the standard deviation. And for the open-ended questions, we did a qualitative study by means of content analysis. So our questionnaire consisted of 39 questions, and it covered the topics that I have already mentioned: English role, resources, teaching, assessment, learning, and of course some demographic data about our participants. We designed this questionnaire following Tournai's framework, and we employed a 6-point Likert scale instead of the traditional 5-point scale to obtain or get more reliable and valid results. Of course, we ask students for permission, and they signed a consent form and an information sheet. And something that I have to point out here is that this questionnaire was designed by using Google Forms, and it was administered with the help of the Language Center, our university, who sent it to all students enrolled in taking English at the moment this study took place. Our instrument was validated by this Chromback Alpha test, and the responses were highly consistent with alpha values greater than 94%. So the results that we are presenting today, we are sharing with you, are relevant and the ones that are that contribute to our aim. Okay, so regarding the English role, students are aware, most students are aware that English is useful for their professional life, and 69% strongly agree with this statement, as you can see here in the table. So this means, or this suggests, that students are aware, as it says, of the importance of learning English, of taking English classes during their BA program, because it's going to help them with their professional lives, to get a job or to get a better job once they graduate. Regarding the teaching, these 2 questions suggest that students are satisfied with the teaching they receive at our university. As you can see here, 49.6% of them strongly agree that their teachers design activities that help them learn the language. Similarly, or 59% of them agree that teachers show the ability to teach this class, his or her class, sorry. So this means that in our participants' views or perceptions, their teachers are capable of teaching the class, and they seem to be happy with this. That is, these results suggest that in general, most students are satisfied with their English classes because teachers plan classes that help them learn the language. And they also show the ability to teach English. And these results are similar to the studies that we mentioned before by Sanchez, Obama, and Ibarra, and also by Raman Santillana, who also report that the students were satisfied with their teachers' performance. In terms of resources, we found that about 54% know how to use the self-access center, and 40% of them agree that they use the self-access center because it is a requirement. So it seems kind of a contradiction here, right? They understand the importance of attending or using the self-access center, but they also agree that they use it because it is a requirement, okay? However, 30% of them agree that the self-access center has been a useful source for their learning process. In terms of learning, we would say that this is a striking result because participants were asked about the number of hours of English that they study and whether they consider they are enough or not to reach the big one level that they are required. And 54% of them consider that the number is not good or is not enough, is not enough because of several reasons. For example, they say that more practice is needed and that there are certain topics that require more time for them to grasp. Also, participants recognize or acknowledge that they devote little time to do extra activities outside the classroom. Because we also ask them, for example, if they do anything during holidays, for example, on their own, if they do practice their language, if they watch videos or they read books or something, and they say no. Most of them don't do anything outside the classroom, okay? So for the open-ended questions, we ask students to provide some suggestions on how to improve the teaching and the learning process, okay? And these findings that we are reporting are the commonalities we identified, and students agree that more teaching hours are needed. And this is similar to the previous result that we just shared with you. But they also suggest that some of the contents of the course need to be improved, and they also ask for more dynamic classes or classes dinámicas. In other words, it means that they are suggesting to practice, to use more the language, and maybe devote less time to answer the book, for example. So our conclusions suggest that students are aware of the important role of English because it is a graduation requirement, of course, but they also acknowledge the importance of learning English during their BA studies. In general, students are satisfied with the teaching they receive, but they suggest that in order to improve the learning process, additional hours need to be added to reach the big one level required for them to graduate. They also suggest to revise the contents of the course so they meet the objectives of the English program. And students also consider that they can benefit from activities that can help them improve the TOEFL test, because at the end of the day, that is the exam that they have to take, or they must take, to comply with these requirements. So overall, our results suggest mainly something that it is not new. If you remember, as we shared at the beginning, Moore also suggests that the number of hours, the exposure to the language is important, and it seems that we also found similar results. These are our references, and this is our personal information or details in case you want to reach us out. Well, that's it. Thank you very much.